Hi,
This meeting is being recorded.
I'm Kate Floss, citizen journalist, citizen lawyer, or backyard lawyer, not a citizen lawyer, a backyard lawyer. Just do a quick disclaimer to let you know that I don't have any legal degrees. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm under the 1688 Bill of Rights. That there are certain things that laymen are allowed to fight for, and that is our rights as a subject of the King Charles. Now, what we're going to be talking about today is some interesting events. Our countries, England, Scotland, Ireland, New Zealand, maybe even America, have been taken over by the Indonesians. Now, we want to look at today what's been going on in our countries, and we're wondering if it's legal for King Charles to accept Rishi Sunak as the Prime Minister of England. Is he legally permitted to be the Prime Minister of England? Now, what has happened is that there's been a series of changes to our 1688 Bill of Rights over many years, over the last 200 years. It happened when they first allowed Catholics to enter our parliaments, which was the cornerstone of the 1688 Bill of Rights. But you can see where this has led us now. You can see where this has led us now, where we've now got a Prime Minister of England, and they're looking at New Zealand and a Prime Minister of England, and that is not a national of England. Now, this is illegal. We've got to look at it. They're doing protests down there. So let's go and have a look. So here is the this is the video. I want to show you some of the videos that are going on around our Commonwealth countries, okay? So I'll go to this video of Rishi Sunak, okay? Go to Rishi Sunak, and I'll share it here. So here's Rishi Sunak, and then what you'll see here, and then you can have a look here. What they're doing is protesting that Rishi Sunak, an Indian national, has become the Prime Minister of England, and they're not realizing that the country's been taken over. They've run out of money. Now, they've closed off all this area. This has been blocked off, and Rishi Sunak is right going in there. Is that Rishi Sunak? So, and then this is him gone into the Parliament buildings, and they're trying to get him out. So he's just behind there, behind those gates there, and then these are all the people protesting at the gates, all the Anglo people that are saying we don't want to be under an international. Yeah, Rishi out, Rishi out. That's what everyone's saying. But, you know, these protests, I'm going to tell you what you're going to be able to do. Now, this has not happened. Now, here, have a look over in this one. And then this one is Joe Biden in the White House. And this occurred 21 hours ago. And this is what's going on in the White House. Biden wished Diwali to more than 1 billion Hindus, Jains, Sikhs, and Buddhists. So our countries have been sold out. We've been sold. There's no more money left for the wars. This war in Ukraine and the war in Russia has ended up that our countries, our parliament buildings are being used for dance rituals. We don't know what these rituals are. Dance rituals, religious rituals that are all forbidden under our 1688 Protestant laws. So this is over here in America. Now look in New Zealand. This is what's going on in New Zealand with our New Zealand police. This is what our New Zealand police, now these police are dressed in their proper New Zealand police uniforms, is what they're dressed in, and they're dancing ritualistic dances to the public of New Zealand, and this is actually forbidden if they've taken the oath. So this is what's going on in New Zealand. So this is you're all being put under a spell. This is a spell that you're all under, and it's against our country for them to be doing these dances. Our police, it means that their allegiance is not to the king. Their allegiance is not to the Protestant king, and their allegiance is not to the Protestant laws. They're getting them, they don't even know what they're saying or what they're dancing to. Who are they inviting into our country? Who are the entities that they're inviting into our countries? This is really, really, really bad. You don't even know. And then here's another one. Hang on, I've got to keep an eye on my messages. Okay, I'm just going to put that in. So there's actually another video that I wanted to get to you. So that's those ones there of the New Zealand police dancing. And I'll get another one here to show you of the New Zealand police. This is also a very recent one that was done. Last one was done in 2019. And then this is a new one that was done in 2020. Now, these are the kind of dances that they've got our police. You're all being put under a spell. You've got to watch what's going on. Here's another one. These are our police practically doing a stripper's dance on a stage in their proper police uniforms to a foreign allegiance, a foreign national, and they might as well give them a pole and let them swing on the pole. You see here, they've got the umbrellas here, and the umbrellas have been turned upside down. These are all significant satanic rituals that they've put up, every single thing. There's the crown. They've got the crown over there surrounded by deities, Hindu deities, I suspect, with the umbrella turned upside down. There's the Pope's hat up here on the top here. And then they've got our New Zealand police doing these satanic dances. Watch what they do next. Look at that. That's our freaking New Zealand police. So this is the fallacy of our New Zealand police. Right, so that's all I'm going to tell you on that. So this is what's going on. I have to make this video quick because my husband's waiting. Now, let's get back to Rishi Sunak. Now, under the 1688 Bill of Rights here, which I'll show you here, this is where our countries have sold us out, our governments have sold us out, and you'll see this 1688 Bill of Rights here that you always hear me talking about. It's in our legislation, it's in the UK legislation. And what it's got here is a supremacy law. And it says here, I do declare that no foreign prince, no foreign person, no foreign prelate, state or potentate has or ought to have any jurisdiction, any power, any superiority, any preeminence, any authority, ecclesiastical or spiritual within this realm. So help me God, under the King James's Bible. And what this gives us, this is a very important document, because it says here that we can go to the king, and it says here that we can petition to the king, and the way that we can get our grievances heard is by a declaration. The only way to call the parliament to the court is by asking the court for a declaration in the name of the king. So it says here, the only means for obtaining full redress and remedy is by asking for a declaration. You do that through the Supreme Court. What they've been doing these last years is blocking us from being able to do this, but I've managed to get in. So we want all of you. Now, another criteria for being part of the government of our Anglo countries is that there have to be Protestants. Lords spiritual, lords temporal have to be Protestants, and the people that govern over us have to be Protestants. Now, this is very, very, very important. So then these are our liberties to be allowed, that no foreigners are permitted to govern over us, and these are the liberties that are be allowed. And if they break these liberties, we can ask for a declaration, and they are to be firmly and strictly held and observed. Then I'm asking you, is King Charles permitted to appoint an Indian national born of 2 Indian parents to be the Prime Minister of England? I think not. So this is something that we all need to. Now, here's where happened your problem. The original oath had to be, I do swear and be faithful and bear true allegiance to His Majesty King Charles, and the judicial, this is the oath of allegiance to the king. Why do you make an oath of allegiance to the king? Because the king is bound and tied by all of these laws in here, many, many, many laws that I'm not going to, and it says here that it is the right of the subjects to petition the king, and all commitments and prosecutions for petitioning are illegal. So I managed to get into the court there. Then you affirm your oath of allegiance and declare and affirm that I will be faithful and bear true allegiance to King Charles III, his heirs, and then you do the judicial oath that I will do right to all manner of people after the laws and usages of this realm without fear or favor, affection or ill will. But look here, you can see here that originally they had to be Protestants. Can you see there? They had to be Protestants, and secondly, they were not permitted to be foreign nationals. No person, you see, but they've changed it, and they've allowed people to do their oaths that they remove Almighty God. Now, the whole 1688 is rested. The whole 1688 is rested on Almighty God. So when you make your oath of allegiance and you remove Almighty God, what you're basically saying is you're not allegiant to, you cannot be allegiant to the king if you're not allegiant to Almighty God. Under the King James Bible as Protestants, and they've allowed them, they can omit the words Almighty God and substitute the words to I swear to Gita. You can, members of the Jewish faith use the oaths above, but some of them might wish to affirm their Jewish faith. Now, this is significant because if they're a Jew, they're actually permitted to, as long as they use the official oath. But if you're a Muslim, you can change I swear by Almighty God to be I swear by Allah. And if you're a Sikh, you change Almighty God and change it to be I swear by the Guru Nanak. So these are all false gods. And all of these, when they swear to them, what they're basically saying is that we don't accept your bills of rights here. We don't accept this bill. We are not bound to this in any way, shape, or form. And that's why they're not allowed to govern in our countries. And so this was only recently done in England in the last few years. So this has been done in England. What they did in New Zealand, what they did in, oh, did you get all of that? Yes, you did. What they did in New Zealand is that they changed it to allow foreigners into the government. Now, what I did, let's see here, I entered into the, I do pray, I entered into the lower court. So I'll go to share screen. So I entered into the lower court because 60% of the people in Parliament of New Zealand, 60% of them are foreign born. And so I entered the court under the 1688 Bill of Rights, and I asked, can you see this here? Hope you can see it, make it bigger. I asked for a declaration to reaffirm my rights of New Zealand people as natural born subjects of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth of the United Kingdom and Ireland, as it pleased Almighty God. I do declare that the native original will of 1865, this is New Zealand documents, and the European ancient will of the 1688 English speakers of New Zealand to their progeny be protected by the Queen's Courts of Law to continue to extend over all the persons and properties of all Her Majesty's subjects within New Zealand, all right? So I went and asked for a declaration, and I opposed because the 1993 Electoral Act in section 55 said that foreigners cannot govern over us. But in 2006, they added 55AA that said foreigners can govern over us. So I said there's two conflicting laws. I asked which one under the Supreme Law would be acceptable, and I asked for a declaration of that. All right, now my case got booted out, and the Prime Minister Jacinda Ardern and Chris Farfoy and some other ministers, they refused to acknowledge me, and they refused to come to the court. Okay, so they refused to come to the court, but I appealed it, and the appeals court said to them, there you go, Jacinda Ardern, there's me, Catherine Ann Sextus, Jacinda Ardern, Chris Farfoy, Andrew Little, Ashley Bloomfield. The appeals court said you will come, and the Crown Law sent me a notice of appearance, and they said, yes, we shall be, these people, the respondents, Jacinda Ardern, give notice of an appearance in respect to this appeal under the 1688 Bill of Rights, okay? So then they hit me with a fees, all right? And then the judge came back and he said to me, basically, he said, you're not a subject anymore. He said, you are a citizen. And so he said, you don't have the right to petition the king, and all fees and commitments, fees must be paid. He said, never mind that you were, he left out the word subject, and he just called me a German settler, but we have a direct covenant with the Queen. And all right, so we have a direct covenant with the Queen. And so he said, you're a citizen now. And he said, you have to uphold the citizens' laws here, and not, he didn't put the word subject. I had put it, he had removed it. So I then petitioned to the Supreme Court, and now I then petitioned to the Supreme Court, and now I've called in Jacinda Ardern And I've called in Cook J, who kicked me out of the first court, and I've called in JC McGrath, who ordered me to pay $10,000 in fees, and I called in Brown J, who said that you're a citizen and you're no longer a sub. He basically said, without putting it in so many words, you're a citizen and you're not a subject, and you have to follow the citizens' laws, and you're not permitted to follow your subject laws. So I called all of the men, the Prime Minister, the 3 other ministers, and the first judge, and the registrar judge, and the appeals court judge. I've called the whole lot of them in to the Supreme Court. Now that went into the Supreme Court on the 29th of November, and we're now on the 26th of October, and they're saying that there's a big thing going on in New Zealand. Something's going to happen on the 28th of October, and I have not had a notice back from the court even to say if they've accepted this case or not. But it's very strange that Rishi Sunak has now been appointed the Indian Prime Minister of England, and then we've got our New Zealand police doing the Indian Satanist dancers on stage in their police uniform, and we've got we've got President Biden inviting the satanic Hindu dancers that are nothing to do with the Protestant people and bringing that into the Parliament of the White House. So have we been taken over by India? So I'm telling you all people that if you're in the common laws, get in touch with me if you can, and you've got to find your way into the courts like I have. We've all got to get into the courts using our 1688. Now, when I went into the court, I said, here, the Supreme Court, and I've put in and I've asked them if I can apply to the Supreme Court. I do pray a declaration in the name of His Majesty King Charles Philip Arthur George, Protestant defender of the faith, His Majesty King Charles Rex III. I request His royal concurrence that effectual provisions for the settlement of certain settlers' ordinances. This was when in our countries of Scotland, Ireland, all right, and New Zealand, only 3 countries, Scotland, Ireland, and New Zealand, we were given documents that gave us ordinances that made us direct subjects directly with the monarch. So this is not a parliamentary act, but they were ordinance. An ordinance, what does an ordinance mean? Settlers' ordinances are actually royal decrees. And these were made by royal decrees, but that were signed and sealed by Queen Victoria herself. These were all sealed by Queen Victoria herself. And so they've got these people in America, Pennsylvania, which we'll have to go into that later. And then where did they change the Constitution of America? They changed it in Pennsylvania. There's so much to tell you, but I'm just giving you a general overview. Bring your friends in. This is what we've got to do, which are acts of parliament for the protections of the Protestant people. I want the assertion that they will continue to be part of the liberties of this kingdom, so that the same for the future might not be in danger again of being subverted. I do claim, demand, and insist in my prayer that it is the right of the subjects to petition the king, and all commitments and prosecutions for such petitioning are illegal. I, Catherine Ann Sextus, do declare myself a subject of King Charles III, annexed by the law of 1844 in New Zealand. Now, you're going to think to yourself, oh, why do you want to be a subject? Well, I've just told you that. Anybody that claims their subject status, when you've got people swearing oaths, now this is the danger here. You really got this. Did I turn that off? There, the oaths of the oaths of Parliament. Hang on, let me just get that up for you again. There. Hang on. I'll just get that up there for you again. I'll stop the share of this one. And I've just got to get this, the oaths of office UK. I hope that's it. And then I went to, right, so whenever you've got this in your legal laws here, your oaths of office, when you're under this oath of office, you're under all the protections of the 1688 Bill of Rights. But when a Hindu comes in and they remove I swear by Almighty God and they change it to I swear by Gita, when they remove it and say I swear by Allah, when they change it and say I swear by the Guru Nanak, and then they make that person your prime minister, you are then under these laws. They're basically, when whoever comes into prime minister and swears the oath to the Guru Nanak, they swear the oath to Gita, or they swear the oath to Allah, and they are the prime minister. Those are the laws that they have placed you under, whether you know it or not. And so what you've got to get in and do is swear get in and put yourself back under the king while you get your laws that you want to be under sorted out. Because presently, depending on which oath Rishi Sunak swore to, if he swore to Gita, or if he swore to the Guru Nanak, or if he swore to the king, who did he swear his oath of allegiance to? That is going to be the question here. So whichever one that he did, you're under those laws. He may not have sworn to Almighty God. If he didn't swear to Almighty God, then he didn't swear to the 1688 Bill of Rights. So I've got myself back into the court and I've said, put me back in my safety as a subject where I know the laws of free speech and no cruel punishments and no forfeiture of my person. Put me back under those safeties while I figure out what these other laws are that you're trying to put me under. And so take me back to safety. So I've asked for that. Now, part of that, they hit me with a $10,000 fee. So then that was part of my case when I put in my application for fee waiver. And then they said to me, why does it need to move forward? They had asked me, I had said, what is the question of law? And I have said under the Bill of Rights, Will and Mary provides that it is the right to petition the king, and all commitments and prosecutions for such petitioning are illegal. Now you've got to start with this one. And why is it that you need to start with this one? If you don't start with this one, they're going to hit you with thousands of dollars in court fees, and you're not going to be able to get your case in. My case is in the Supreme Court, and I'm saying that when I want to petition this question of law, all the commitments, all the obligations to pay money for questioning this point of law are illegal under the 1688 Bill of Rights by the King. So you've got to get this one cleared first. You've got to get yourself declared as a subject first, and you've got to get all your fees and commitments for going to the court on questions of law. You've got to get that cleared first, and then after that, it's going to be smooth for you to take all of these other issues in your countries to the court. Now, in the last bit, they said, why should you process it? I said that it is the right to petition the king, and all commitments and fees are illegal. That's what I've said, and that my right to petition and no commitments overrides the court fees. Then I said that under the German settlers ordinance, I had a royal degree decree as a natural born subject of Her Majesty Queen Victoria. Now, I was not made a British subject. I was not made a British citizen. I was not made a New Zealand citizen. That, my ancestors, that didn't come in until 1949. So my ordinance is a direct covenant with Her Majesty Queen Victoria, and it's for all times to come. Scotland, Northern Irish, Australian people, some of their ships, the Scottish ships and the Irish ships that were sent out to Africa, America, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, all those ships that were sent out with the white slaves came with them a royal decree that they would always be governed under Almighty God, not under the Guru Nanak and not under Gita and not under Allah. So that's what they're trying to put us under at the moment. So then we've got a treaty in New Zealand, but don't worry about that. And I said that since I was an annexed subject of Queen Victoria, that I was passed down by my lineage and that I remain a subject, you can't remove my right to be a subject, and then I have the right to petition King Charles Rex III for a declaration of right. When I get that declaration, I can order the ministers to stand down. I know this is all a bit, I'm just putting this up, and then I'll open up another hearing for discussions about this. So I'm going to put this up on the YouTube, then I'm going to open up for talks on YouTube, and you'll all be able to follow it. I'm going to, you will all be able to follow what I put here, and then we can just talk about it and you can ask me all your questions. I said that the outcome, I said that if a commitment of fees must be made, we're merely seeking a declaration of right in the name of His Majesty's King Charles III. So they said, you have to pay fees to enter the Supreme Court. And I said, my whole case at the Supreme Court is that the High Court and Appeals Court order for me to pay fees is illegal. So I said the Supreme Court ruling will decide if I even need to pay fees at Supreme Court. So I said we have to wait for the ruling. Now, for some reason, the Supreme Court, it's supposed to be 20 days. I put it in on the 29th as the last day, and it's now the 26th. From my understanding, they're entitled to 20 days to answer me, or maybe not. So I'm waiting for this to see what will happen. So I've got to go. There's my husband. I'm in so much trouble. All right. Stop recording. Okay. เดี๋ยวไปคุยกันกับหัวหน้าที่โรงเรียนเกี่ยวกับเขียนสัญญาถึงไปคุยกันอยู่